My name is Robert Cronenberg. I'm the chief of Area 1, one of the planning areas here at Park and Planning. And we have, as you can see, 4 tables set out tonight. We're going to go into kind of the instructions here in a little bit, but we wanted to go ahead and I wanted to turn the mic over to Councilman Hans Riemer, and just for a quick introduction, but also this is really a big part of his plan that we're helping him with, and I wanted to turn it over to him, so thank you.
Thank you, Bob. I don't want to make a fool of myself with how excited and happy I am, to be in here tonight and to see all of the amazing people here coming together to make some magic. But I just wanted to give a very quick history. There have been so many people who have been building the vision of, a more exciting, more vibrant downtown Silver Spring. And we've made so much progress here over the years. I love it. I spend a lot of time here. But the folks, Atul and Mark from Tortigalis took the time to put some pictures onto paper, and that really, was powerful. And Rimberto, who has a planning background, has been so instrumental in facilitating. But as some of you know, I made this proposal that we should have a park at the transit center some time ago, and that was fairly controversial, especially within our smart growth community. But I went and I sat down with WMATA to talk about it because that was suggested to be a good course of action. And I was shocked to find out that WMATA, well, they already have parkland planned. They got a ½ acre of the WMATA site is going to be park, but they actually agreed that it was time to revision the whole transit center property. And they wanted to reissue the RFP, and but they wanted to do it under the leadership of the county planning department and the county community planning process. And so with that, and with a suggestion from Mel Tull that we should be thinking, I'm sorry if I'm getting anybody in trouble, we should be thinking bigger than just the transit center, but the parking garages, the buildings that are coming down from the purple line, and the landscape or the palette is big, and I think the possibilities are huge. I think about a new center of gravity for Silver Spring that is, about the whole of Silver Spring in a much more authentic way. So I'm going to really enjoy myself tonight, and I hope to see some inspiring results from this process. And to the planning department, to Gwen and Rose and Robert and everybody who's involved, I just can't thank you enough. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Very good.
Thank you. Thank you. So we're going to go through a few instructions here, but I did want to announce that we have a number of staff people here. Councilman Raymer just introduced a few of them. Rose Krasnow is our deputy director in front. Gwen Wright is our director in back. And those of us that have been, I think, pretty heavily involved with trying to get all the pieces fit together tonight. We have Mark Diocampo over here in the back. Mike Bayo with us. Bridget Suisel, who's been helping us with the media and communication part of it. Brooke Farquhar in the back has been instrumental from our Parks Department. And we have Dave Ansbacher and Patrick in the back. And then who else? Ben and Ben. I'm sure we have a few other staff members here. I'm just not seeing them. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Mark. And he can go ahead and start with the introduction, and then also Michael will go into the exercise tonight. But I hope that everyone can roll up their sleeves and kind of have a little fun here. We have a couple different mediums here tonight for you to enjoy, from our Legos to our play clay to everything else. And and Roberto Rodriguez in the back, of course, who's been very helpful with us. Yes. And before I turn it over, I did want to just go ahead and put the plug in for the other 2 workshops that we have started here, and they're on the flyer that that's at the front. The next one is going to be at Dennison's Brewery at more of a happy hour event. It'll make it a little bit more, I think, even more lively on October 29th, which is 2 weeks from today. And then the other one that we were going to be doing is November 5th. The location is still in progress, but we're working on that. Check our website. Check the Silver Spring Placemaking.org. That's under the councilman's office. I'm sorry. silverspringplacemaking.com. I apologize. It's here. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mark and Mike, and they'll walk you through the exercise.
Yes, thank you very much, Robert, and thank you all for coming over here tonight. I also just wanted to go and recognize Willie G., who's Willie Chief. Yes, she's over here from the County Executive Office. And so, yes, thank you. And just to go and add a little bit to our next steps as well. So tonight we are talking about, in workshop number 1, we're going to be focused in on the transit center and specifically what kind of public space, what kind of public realm can grow out of the transit center site, and also how the transit center site and the public space then also reach out to other parts of downtown Silver Spring, which then dovetails very nicely into workshop number 2, which will be on October 29th over at Dennison's Brewing Company. And this will focus in on the Ripley District and that connection between the Ripley District and the metro station, and the type of public space and the type of feeling you get as you walk from the metro to the Ripley District, and also from the Ripley District out to other parts of downtown Silver Spring. And then on November 5th, workshop number 3, we will talk about the area that is immediately outside of the transit center, specifically at that corner of that intersection of East-West Highway and Colesville. We really kind of see the intersection of East-West and Colesville as kind of that southern gateway from Washington, D.C. as you're coming off of 16th Street from that direction. And how could you go and enhance that gateway to go and say this is a welcoming to Silver Spring via maybe public art or intersection improvements, pedestrian improvements, and what could the urban design and architectural form be in the surrounding areas. So with that, thank you very much again for coming. I also wanted to go and talk a little bit about specifically the WMATA Transit Center site. Again, Robert had mentioned that, Robert and Councilman Reamer had mentioned the reissuance of an RFP for the redevelopment of the WMATA site. We did have a meeting with with WMATA staff, and several of them are here tonight, and as well as their architectural and urban design consultant. I think they're somewhere around here. Robin over here, and Jim Gast is floating around. So he's outside. Okay. They're here from WMATA. And just a little recap on that meeting. There, of course, has always been this desire for some type of park or green space here in downtown Silver Spring. And right now there is that green lawn that's fenced in around the transit center, and everybody's been kind of asking, well, can you go and use that for some at least kind of temporary use? And in our discussions with WMATA, they were open to the idea of potentially using that as temporary public space. And if you look at the current or the former RFP that was issued back when the transit center was conceived, it does show a green space in there. It's about roughly a half an acre. And so to the extent that we would go and capture something of the same size, maybe not necessarily the same placement, WMATA is open to the idea of using the temporary space in as much as the open space that will ultimately occur could be there. So if it was something roughly around a half an acre worth of temporary use space, then that would be something they would consider. And that hopefully through this exercise, this charrette, that maybe we could go and glean some ideas as to how and where you'd want that to be. Because that would also then inform, depending on the size and shape of that site, what the new RFP could be when it gets reissued. Because because the buildings that surround that site would actually go and define whatever that public space may be in the future. And that, again, too, this might be a phased approach, so that maybe as the construction occurs over time, that the temporary space could then go into the permanent space, so there would always be some kind of public space as part of that construction phase. But these are things that we're just still in the process of talking about. We'd like to go and get your ideas, and hopefully that could then go and inform what WMATA does. They're excited about this process. We're excited about this process. So I just wanted to go and kind of talk a little bit about that and why you see that graphic here at your tables. Sure. Yes, that is in addition to. And Brooke Farquhar from our Parks Department, who is here this evening, she could actually talk about that triangular space. The what is the name of that again? Jean Lynch Urban Park. It is a named park, and there is a set of improvement plans for that could happen in the future. So I will turn it over to Michael Baio, and actually I just want to go and say a quick thank you to Michael Baio. All the graphics that you see here today, all the printouts, the design of this exercise is attributed to Mr. Baio. He worked long and hard on this, so thank you very much.
I couldn't have done it without the team, so I appreciate everybody's help throughout all of this process. And that said, everything that you've heard regarding the placemaking, we're going to go ahead and jump right into talking about the work session and our goals for tonight and what we're looking for the end of this evening. Essentially, what we're going to be designing is, as teams, we have 5 tables. These 5 tables, we can all pick what table you'd like to work in. There's 4 here in front, and there's 1 back here. And we can pick any of the tables and utilize all the materials that each table has. And basically, we have the Transit Center public space and the Discovery Green. Consider them the sort of phase 1 temporary public uses, and consider what you would like to see in those public spaces part as phase 1. And let's then look at phase 2 as what would be the more permanent features in the Transit Center public space and the Discovery Green, as well as the Jean Lynch Urban Park, and the 2 public plazas adjacent to each other along the corner of the intersection of Wayne and Georgia Avenue, as well as take a look at the future of Wayne Avenue. Basically, what we're trying to tell you here is we have an opportunity to look at the transit center's green space now, as in tomorrow, look at the future of it while we're waiting for development, while we're waiting for applicants and opportunities with development here, which we see as some other concepts over there. But what can we influence in use now? Likewise, can we complement what can be proposed here with what's going on at this Discovery Park? Could there be a relationship, and could there be some kind of fun synergy between the two that can help create more that sense, that heart to the community, that sense of place between the 2 zones? And third would be the phases, which would be the second phase, which is looking at Wayne Avenue as a conduit. Think about when the buses move away from this zone here, as well as this zone in the Jean Lynch Urban Park, and go into the transit center. What could be utilized in these spaces, even in the interim, but also looking at a more permanent aspect for the pedestrians? And thus, that would be potentially connecting us all the way through Georgia Avenue and the already really nice bike share spaces across the street. And then likewise, looking at the plaza areas, look at how they relate to each other and potentially the intersection, how it could create a relationship between them. And so basically, holistically, we're looking at the overall site in a long-term permanent phase, but these 2 as temporary. So phase 1, temporary, these 2 sites, and then phase 2 would be everything more of a permanent aspect. What we have to offer is this is 40 scale, and we produced drawings that are 40 scale of all of the different public spaces that we're familiar with in the area, everything from Rockville Town Square. So this is the same scale as this drawing here. So you could plug and test these spaces into this space here. We took it to another level. We went ahead and cut out these public spaces, and we have them in styrofoam. on each of your tables, so you can actually take those out and plug and play regarding streetscapes. You have everything from Bethesda Road to King Street to many different really nice public promenades and linear parks that you could sort of test all of these spaces with on your plan. And you can, of course, change those designs. These are just base concepts. And then to help support that, we have the types of public spaces to the right with letters. And that gives you a little bit of an example of what type of public spaces are in the local and regional area that you can that can serve as inspirations potentially that you might see, that you might want to relate to with your plan. And we put letters on these so you could write a simple letter on the plan and it'll identify with the image that you have on the wall. We also have all of those images at each of the tables for anyone to pick out and to relate or in context or in conversation. Also, we have temporary uses, also related locally to the area. If you see the Civic Green, you'll see that it had a relationship before what the Civic Center has now. A few other public spaces, and also looking at temporary uses from pop-up restaurants to art, outdoor rotating art. I got this from you guys. And to all these fun, interesting, interactive programs from outdoor yoga, outdoor libraries, interactive digital display, fire pits, many different examples that you could take from. And we have elevations to help you basically look at maybe some of your context analysis, because a key component to this is not just from viewing it from above, but how does the pedestrian, ourselves, when we're walking through the streets, understand the topography, the conditions, the edge conditions, and how we experience the sites as we traverse through all of the different public spaces. So that said, I think I've covered most things. One other element I want to contribute here before we get into the picking our tables and going ahead with the rest of the design is the bike parking station. While we have it located at this location, it's a really exciting opportunity for us to look at it incorporated into the buildings that support and flank the potential public space. This can be a very opportunistic artistic architectural element that's very nicely integrated, and think about it as a temporary piece as well within the public space to sort of emphasize the bikeability that this community embraces. And that said, there's also scale comparisons for bikeability stations. Everything you probably need to look at is at your table and also on the wall here to use. The media that we have is Play-Doh, believe it or not. So talk about hands-on, everybody. We're going to actually get our hands colorful. So there's Play-Doh, clay, and we can build more three-dimensionally. There's also markers, pens, trace paper, and there's even Legos at this table here. But I think we've got quite the kit of parts to utilize. And if anybody has any questions, there'll be a facilitator at each table to help guide you through any of the aspects of the session. I would like at 8:30 for us to get together, conservatively 8:30, so that gives us an hour to, we call report out or designate one of the team members. Oh. Sure. The Gene Lynch Park is right here. It's the more urban triangle form. Gene Lynch Park, Discovery Green, and the two triangle plaza spaces along the intersection of Wayne and George Avenue. Gene Lynch Park has a strong relationship.
As long as we're covering so much, why not cover that little park behind the big office, that Cameron Hill Park?
Sure. That's definitely, yeah, sure. Well, absolutely. Anything along Wayne, absolutely. And the relationships that they can contribute to the spaces would be fantastic. And so I think that basically covers most of what we're going to be working on. And if there's any questions, any other questions?
I think the only thing I would add is if I could get maybe the staff to just raise their hand so that everyone knows that, who's going to be around at the tables. And we're going to kind of rotate around and help out with the table so that we can assist you with the exercise.
Thank you so much. All right, so have at it. Have some fun in the tables, and we'll be with you in a second.
What's going on here tonight?
We are hosting the first of 3 workshops. We're calling them charrettes, and really trying to engage the public in creative ideas, both temporary and hopefully some permanent uses at the transit station and the surrounding area.
How would you describe how tonight is going?
Oh, it's fantastic. We probably have about 30 people that have shown up to really get their hands dirty a little bit in terms of trying to create some spaces and create some great ideas for the space using the media that we have with cutouts, with clay, and with Legos. So we're having a little fun.
Hold on, let's try that one more time. What are they doing?
We have a lot of people here tonight that are engaging in the process and trying to have a lot of fun with the workshop and really try to plan for the temporary and the permanent spaces that we envision for the transit center area. Not just the site, but the entire area around it. And we've engaged them with different medium, which would be Legos, play clay, and some cutouts that we've used that are more spatially oriented to different shapes and sizes within the area for public spaces.
Can you tell us about some of the ideas you've heard tonight?
Oh, sure. We've heard definitely a different rearrangement of the buildings on the site, relocation of the green space to make it a little bit more accessible and more friendly for a lot of the residents that we would anticipate using this. Definitely bolder ideas in terms of buildings coming down to make way for more public space and to really engage the Purple Line as well, because that's going to be a major player in the transit center as this redevelops.
This placemaking series is kind of unique because we're working with a council member. Can you talk about it?
Sure. Councilmember Hans Reamer is the one that really came to us to see what we could do to assist with organizing a workshop or series of charrettes that would really focus on placemaking, identity, and just really an all-out fun movement to try and engage downtown Silver Spring and create a new character for it.
What are we doing here tonight?
Well, we are getting the ideas and the creative input and energy from a lot of people in the Silver Spring area who are, putting things on the wall as to what the future of, in this particular case, the transit center and some of the adjacent properties are, and how we can transform them over time to make, a really great place to live, to spend time, the kind of place you want to just go and stay. And so many neat ideas. We have a lot of people here who have great expertise in planning or landscape design. We have a lot of people who just live here and they spend their time here. And so that combination is very unusual. And we got some awesome traction going tonight. I'm really excited.
Tell me, how would you describe the vibe in the room?
Well, there's a lot of buzz. I think everyone was sort of surprised to have the opportunity to paint the canvas of their own community. That was not every day you get to do something like that. I think people don't know exactly, well, is this idea going to become reality and so forth, but there was a really good collaborative spirit here of, hey, what do you want to do? It was also challenging. I mean, in my group, sort of you're given some pieces of property and what do you want to do with them? Boy, as easy as I thought that would be, it's not that easy. And you've got to really think things through. And frankly, I probably spent too much time thinking and not enough time drawing. But it was very successful, and I think people are really enthusiastic. We've got more of these coming, so I think it's going to grow and grow from here.
Tell our viewers, what is the goal of this series of charrettes?
Well, the goal of the series of charrettes is to help get momentum for a series of initiatives that will help boost Silver Spring's, value, its sense of community, its sense of identity, its sense of place, and really just define what it's like to be here, spend time here, and how you feel when you're here. Like, what do you do when you're here? All those things kind of fit together into this planning exercise, which is different. It's not about zoning. It's not about really land use. It's just about making a great place to be, a great place to spend time, a great place to live. And so we're getting these ideas, but now we have to, move them forward. And so there's going to be a lot of follow-up work that's going to be needed. But, there's so many opportunities. It's like we have the skeleton in Silver Spring, and now we need to kind of dress it. So there's a lot going on.
Could you share with us one of the more interesting ideas you heard tonight?
Well, the one that was particularly interesting to me was combining the WMATA land at the transit center with county land that's next to it, the big parking garages and the building that's coming down for the Purple Line and the park that's supposed to be on Route 29, and combining them all into one large RFP. And the bigger your RFP of land near a metro, the more of a response you're going to get from the business community, from a developer community. So all of these ideas that we have, might really be more likely to come to reality if the county and WMATA and Parks Department could kind of get together on issuing a single or a joint RFP. So I took that as sort of an underlying element, a foundational element of taking all of these awesome ideas and bringing them to life. I also really like the idea of covering the transit center in sort of artistic elements to disguise it, and having a market right adjacent to it, like a temporary pop-up market. I thought that was cool. There's so much going on.
For people who don't know about this, what would you tell them?
Get involved. This is a really unusual opportunity to be a part of a visioning process that is going to produce real results. And it's a different kind of planning exercise. It's really unique. So if you've always had something that you thought, we can't have this in Silver Spring, this is your chance to come and put that idea on the table, and maybe your friends and neighbors are going to like it, and then maybe we'll make it happen.
What's going on here tonight, Roberto?
Well, this is an amazing example of what it means when the community really comes together to make place, to get a sense of place. And when there was a shout out to bring folks together and say, okay, so we have the spaces in downtown Silver Spring that we want to see what could be, and what better way than to sit around table with Play-Doh and little stickies, and so we all become children, and that's when our imagination really soars.
Tell us a little bit about your work with the Silver Spring Advisory Committee. They've been they're playing an integral role in the charrette process. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, the Citizens Advisory Board really, and the Urban District Advisory Committee, both have really demonstrated a lot of interest as to how does it feel like to walk around downtown Silver Spring? How do you literally enjoy this a sense of place? And since many of the folks either live or work relatively close by, the interest is high as to how do we really come together in this place and create a vibrant, thriving downtown community.
Tell me about some of the ideas you've heard around tonight.
They are stellar, and they run from the Jetson ideas to the much more mundane, really practical. How do you turn an empty space into a vibrant space? Is it the simplicity of food trucks, or is it the simplicity of children drawing with chalk on the sidewalk? Is it the idea of a permanent mural, or is it the idea of some temporary balloon sculptures? So it runs the gamut from the simple and practical and pragmatic to the wild and crazy that I'm hesitant to repeat.
For people who don't know about Silver Spring, what would you tell them?
It is the place to come and be, and simply be. It is the soul, salsa, and spirit of Montgomery County, so it's the place to be.
And why are you here tonight?
Well, I was very interested in the concept of placemaking ever since Councilmember Mayor brought to our board's attention. The fact that we have a hands-on deck approach of how to deal with our public space is a beautiful idea. Given the changes in our demographics in this area, a very younger, more millennial generation of folks, a lot of them are very vested in their community and want to have a say in it, and this is a great outlet for them.
Tell me about how your group exercise went.
Excellent. I must say I was quite impressed. I was with the people that I met for the very first time, and we all had different ideas, shared common concerns about how we feel about this space, and what we came out of it was that we all like our green space. We all like the idea of having more of a nature feel, and we all like the fact that we get to use the space, kind of like the fountain in Silver Spring. We realized that water, trees, green space, as well as some sort of art aspect to introduce people to Silver Spring, not just a place people come and go, a place where people can actually have fun.
What would you say to somebody who is maybe interested in getting involved with the next couple workshops?
Come with ideas. And don't be afraid of thinking outside the box. We have a lot of people here from different backgrounds. A lot of people are bicyclists, urban planners, young parents, retirees. Come with ideas. Don't be afraid of the fact that we can all come together and have a great brainstorming session. It's not going to be boring. It's actually much more fun than the word suggests. So I definitely recommend coming to the next event.
pedestrians need to get to and are traveling from. So creating a logical line between the metro station and sort of the upper part of Silver Spring, rather than closing it off with buildings like the hotel shown there. But it does still give you the opportunity to do buildings in this particular area. And also, if this were sort of a residential building, you could make it a true transit-oriented development style structure with bike amenities built in, rather than making them sort of an afterthought and trying to cram them in. I was also told to make sure I mention the dog park right behind the McDonald's is a great location. But we focused a lot on what those PED corridors would be. So if you took down this parking garage, it's a logical connection to the Purple Line. So you could create like a new corridor here of usable space open to pedestrians and the general public. We had a lot of discussion about the entrances for the buses, and they're sort of fixed. They can't be changed. And we didn't want a lot of PED space around bus fumes. But we decided that this would be potentially a good space for pedestrians. You could do like a movie screen on the side of the structure. And because generally the fumes are only going to really be bad at rush hour, we kind of assumed that would be okay. But potentially on this triangular area, a food cart area, some more amenities to draw people to the area. We also talked about Wayne Avenue. Once you get rid of all that bus space, and it kind of has a lot of excess capacity today, you might be able to take some travel lanes away, re-envision the green trail, put in like a high-quality cycle track that would draw more people towards this area and provide better access for cyclists. So those were sort of the things that we touched on. And the fountain. The re-envisioning that triangular area once we get rid of the bus turnaround, sort of maximizing the public space there.
Say again what your report out was on the hotel concept. Did we walk away from that, or are we talking about that as a mixed building?
We're leaving it more open to the fact that these are potentially good building locations, and whatever the market, needs are. Ideally, I think if you did this as residential, though, it has a high draw for people that want to abandon their cars.
Just to share the idea that some of us had on that space, that all hotels that are here are uphill from the transit center. And wouldn't it be neat if you could come to town, go to National Airport, get on the train, get off here, and have your hotel here? You wouldn't have to drive. And then this is a base of ready customers for whatever retail and restaurant you have up here. The trick is then, if you did that, Ellsworth Avenue is a bit of a reach, so you probably want to be looking at this area to create some shiny lights and interesting spaces to pull those people out. But you got a steady changing daily market. The question is whether the market would want to put a hotel there. But you could be carless and come to Silver Spring on business.
And I think that was pretty much everything we talked about, right? Go ahead. Oh, it's like a share out.
Thank you very much. May I ask? Sure. Thanks. I'll ask the next group here. We'll call Group B. We'll have Ben go ahead and. Thank you so much.
It's my chicken scratch here, so I'll be the reporter for us. So I think one of the things that we looked at from the get-go was you've got all these public spaces starting way back at Georgia Avenue, and they kind of work their way back towards the transit center. And so this is really an opportunity for a long linear feature of sort of enhanced bicycle and pedestrian experience. I think sort of in the short term we were looking at maybe using some like pop-up carts. So instead of a food truck that would take up a travel lane or what we envision as bike lanes, you'd actually put the carts on the future development side and reactivate the sidewalk that way. I think we also sort of decided we didn't want to wait for the private developer to come in and fix a streetscape. The county might need to step up and actually put in the final sidewalk and street trees along Wayne and Colesville, because we kind of need the shade now. It's a very hot, uninviting walk right now. And it could be years before they actually get out there and do that. So I think we kind of know where it's going to be. Let's go ahead and just get that streetscape put in there and, kind of focus on other things. And so I think, in a more permanent use, as this area were developed around the transit center, we'd kind of looked at turning it into a little bit of a sort of a pedestrian promenade, like seeing some of these linear park pedestrian promenades, maybe a little narrower, looking at like the 30-foot wide scale maybe from curb edge to back edge of this, kind of keeping some of the elements of the design of this little entrance when you leave the metro station now, and continuing that over here to the crossing of Wayne, have an extra wide crosswalk at Wayne, maybe an artistic crosswalk like they've played with in Baltimore and some other areas, and hoping that the Gene Lynch Urban Park ends up becoming a little bit of a greener place in the future, with some seating areas so that maybe once these develop and have some ground level retail, this is a place you could take your lunch across the street and eat it. And I think continuing up Wayne, as was heard earlier, we'd like to see where the bus lanes are now turned into cycle tracks. The space is already there. I think there's no reason to turn it back into a car lane. And sort of as you work up sort of in front of the Discovery building, I think we had a couple of mixed ideas there. One is maybe these pop-ups kind of get relocated in front of the Discovery building, because theoretically once you get rid of the buses and the bus bays, you're now going to have one sidewalk, trees, another sidewalk, trees, and the old bike route, which we're replacing on road. Maybe where the actual asphalt bike route is now is where you move your carts to, and they interact with people on the sidewalk now. And I think we also saw the Discovery kind of green as the best place for future programming. There's already some exercise classes that happen there now. Maybe a pop-up screen could go there. It was sort of seen as being a more quiet, secluded place. And because we had talked about doing that kind of stuff by the transit center, and I think we were a little concerned about the noise from the trains and the traffic. And we actually did use Play-Doh. We'd sort of thought maybe as part of this pedestrian feature, there'd be a water feature near this entrance to kind of help drown out the noise of the trains and the buses and the cars as they go by. The other final thing we sort of looked at, future bike parking. We kind of went back and forth of either putting it sort of near the entrance to the metro station or putting it as an element of Gene Lynch Urban Park. And we also kind of looked at Ramsey Avenue and said, wouldn't that be kind of cool if that became a new Ellsworth Drive, where it was sort of the 3 levels of brick. You kind of put the street trees in, you'd have new restaurants along here. You've got a couple of existing uses here, and this might help kind of play into the second session we'd have of getting people into the little district down there. So did I miss anything important?
No, I just wanted to clarify. I think what we were, the thing about the linear park we were saying was that if we do have half an acre of space, instead of making one more pocket park along that street, since this is a destination where there's a lot of movement of people, why not use that half acre or whatever that space is to enhance that experience of movement? So what we were suggesting is that this should be a really nice, wide, inviting environment for pedestrians and bikers, and really, and art installations and temporary or permanent art installations, so that people, when they use the metro and they're moving to and from while going to work or coming home, have a more visual, better experience. And if we do that, then we actually create more flexibility in the development of the rest of the site in the long term, because we are basically saying that the linear space will be along the edges of Wayne and Colesville. So we have more flexibility in how we can shape the buildings on the rest of the parcel. So those are just some of those things.
Thank you so much. That was fantastic. I'm going to ask Group C, please, over on this end right here. If you could give us some ideas. And oh, please. Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, so we were also concerned with a biking experience in this area. and put the bike station here near the entrance. And this would be the full station where you would have storage and mechanics.
Pardon, could you maybe check this? Maybe the speaker is off. Or oh, there it is. Okay, never mind. Talk closer to it, perhaps. Thank you.
And then bike lanes along the roads, especially along Wayne Avenue. In our temporary idea for using this green space, one of the things we thought was to put in little pocket slides so they would go through the hills here and give kids a place to play. Maybe have a temporary dog park here at least for a while, and do some programming here as well. So really try and use that green space while we have it. We wanted movies on the plaza, maybe even outdoor chess and other activities, and like everybody else, we'd like a green screen. As we talked about what we could do permanently, one of the things that came up was trying to maybe move this tower so that instead of breaking up this space, we now have a contiguous green space. And that was one of the things we were very concerned with, is again, rather than having a lot of little tiny pocket parks, trying to make a more contiguous green space, trying to make a more Bryant Park-like environment. And so this would be the high end. This would slope all the way down, perhaps even putting the street underneath here. And then we got very ambitious, and we were thinking, okay, what about doing the same thing on the urban park side and making this go across and the street go underneath so that we're now contiguous with the discovery space as well. And one of the things that we talked about and this kind of view helps with is that you'll see in places where we have interior public spaces, they don't feel like public spaces. So that if you have to come through a narrow entranceway, this looks like a private courtyard for the buildings there, and people won't use it. So we wanted to avoid that experience, and we put here, take down the fence. So again, try and make discovery more open. Along Ramsey Avenue, we also had the outdoor cafes. We were thinking next to La Madeleine is where we could put some rotating art displays, go with the French experience there. The permanent dog park, or I'm sorry, skate park. Skate park over by McDonald's. And then I think that's it. Mountains.
If I'll ask that we go over to group D over here on the other end with a little more clay usage, I see.
I got some good news. We're the last group of the night. My name is Bruno. This is B. Hiding over there in the corner. It's the Bruno and B show. Welcome, Nicholas. Come over here, buddy. I think we've heard a lot of the same basic elements, so I'll recap because we have a lot of those elements as well in our plan. So Wayne Avenue is the backbone, right? We want to make it more of a pedestrian link. We want to link all of the public spaces together through Wayne Avenue. It makes a lot of sense. We had a lot of smart discussion in our group about this critical intersection here, Colesville and Wayne. And as great of a guy that Gene Lynch was, we think that his park should probably is better placed here. And we want to do a land swap, and we want to put one of the three buildings here where the triangular park would have been. And the reason for that is to really create a much more urban edge on Colesville Boulevard. It's such a huge road. And we're not done with Colesville yet. We want to make that into an actual boulevard. It's a Colesville Road now, right? We want to make it Colesville Boulevard. We want to make it beautiful. We want to make it urban. And we're going to have these nice buildings that frame this entrance into this more pedestrian realm here. Our third building is here, and that's also going to house our bike hub, our commuter services like a post office, some retail lining this plaza, and we're going to take use of the slope, right, with some terraces and some interactive art, movable seating, a lot like Bryant Park, for example. And then that leads you down Wayne Avenue, link in all of these spaces, open up the Discovery Park, take down that fence. These little clay pieces represent maybe like their art or some icon that start linking all these spaces together. You know, like a lot of cities, D.C. had the elephant and the donkey. Chicago had another animal. I think it was a bear. So, you know, something that that links everything together. We're going to have, you know, here's a cross section, right? We're going to do the, what are they called? Cycle tracks. Big wide sidewalks, big wide planting areas, reduce the travel lanes to a minimal width, group them in the middle so that it's easier for people to cross. Again, putting the pedestrian first, right? That's what we're all about. The purple lines represent what we think the main bike traffic is going to be through the neighborhood. And then one other great idea we had, I think Brittany came up with this idea, you know, when the parking lot gets torn down here, do a temporary artisan market. And really play off this theme of public art and getting people out, walking through the neighborhood, planting a lot of trees along the streets, right? So it's friendly. It's a friendly environment to be in, and we can't wait till this gets built, right? B, you gonna? B was amazing.
What is it called? What did we call it? The barn dance, right? Square dance over here. Maybe side joke, sorry. We also talked about having a square dance over here where basically all of the lights are on stop while all the pedestrians can go anywhere and wherever for some time. That way you can tie it all together because we also planned for a little small park as well over here. Maybe a dog park, I don't know. We hadn't talked about that one, but that's actually a pretty good idea. Cycle tracks, and there's also the connection to the other neighborhoods. By the way, I'm trying to plug in the next meeting, so yes, you should go to that one, and then we can continue drawing this. So yeah, and of course, I think the theme of the trees, tying all the trees, because I mean, as of right now, a lot of the improvements that have been done, it's kind of barren, and it's very hot in the summer and very cold in the winter. So yeah, that's it.
That was excellent. Thank you so much. All of these ideas are incredible, and I think we're going to take all of these ideas, and I'd like to ask the group, we still have a little bit of time left. I want to ask everyone if they could help me list out a few potential champions. Let's think about we have some great visions, some great ideas to work with here. What are the different key players that we feel would be integral and instrumental in helping us take this to the next step to reality? So I'm going to walk over to this board, and I'm going to ask, oh, thank you so much. So I'm going to ask, a few folks we already know, perhaps in discussion and with discussion with some group members here, the Discovery building is one of the folks, thank you so much, that we're going to want to talk to, right? So just to start things off, and tell me if I'm wrong, would the folks at Discovery be someone that we would need to communicate with regarding in some action items and some ideas that we could talk to them regarding our vision today? What other advisory boards, committees, or groups you would say would be integral? WMATA, there's another one. We'll add WMATA development, definitely. That's somebody that we'll definitely have a very constructive conversation with.
The county DOT and the state DOT.
Thank you. County DOT and state DOT. Those are very integral, and we could say safely those will be working on more of the streetscape concepts we've come up with regarding placemaking, how we take back some of those lanes, perhaps for the what is bus oriented, could be pedestrian oriented in the future. What are the steps? And be sure to link in Arts and Humanities. Thank you. Thank you. Arts and Humanities Council is fantastic. And what do you think in terms of action items? They can probably bring in some of those rotating art events that Bruno's team was talking about. Great. B team, yeah. Perfect. Art Humanities Council, and it's mostly shepherding the rotating art exhibits and that sort of role of overlooking that to make sure that goes to fruition and continues year round. Please. Okay. WABA. Thank you. Thank you. WABA. WABA. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. So that's another great, and they would help obviously in instigating all of the bike aspects. David, you're on board with that, I'm sure.
I think we should reach out to the AFI and see if they'll do some more screenings on the green.
DFI.
AFI.
Okay, AFI. Thank you so much. Because it's one thing for us, we'll be developing a booklet and really breaking down all these visions that we have today in a more, we'll pull these together and create a nice list of concepts and a nice list of informative ideas that will influence future developments and developments currently. But it's really good to know some of these other projects. Please. Perfect. Yep, that's perfect. Silver Spring Historical Society regarding wayfinding and overall district character. Rose, please. Right. Got it. Silver Spring Chamber of Commerce. And the Regional Center. These are good. These are really good. Because we can definitely add them. Any other ones? Any? That would be instrumental. That's excellent. That would help us a lot. Need another marker? Okay, great. Perfect. Yeah. We're on board. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, we're definitely a part of that. County Council to help shepherd this, and yep, thank you. All of County Council, not just one. Yeah. That's fantastic. That's excellent. So I think there's a great list of different champions, and I think we could pull some action items from these by knowing their practices. And no, this is pretty much. If there's any other recommendations or any questions, okay. So that's good. Please.
So I wanted to go ahead and finish up and just say, first of all, thank you to Michael. He's been instrumental in really getting all this together with the rest of the team, but we appreciate it. And I have to give a big thank you to Gary in the back, who doesn't get enough thanks, for doing our AV work. So. And making sure that we get this taped and we get all this information so that we can share it with everyone. A couple other things. As Michael said, we will be doing a report out of this. It'll be on a kind of an iterative type process where the next round that we have, we'll build onto that, and then the next one that we have, we'll build onto that as well. There is another event that Crystal reminded me of, October 24th. Pedal Plaza and Discovery Plaza, they're doing another exercise that's there at both venues. Pedal Plaza is La Madeleine, that little area in front, and then of course Discovery Plaza is the one right there at Wayne and Colesville. So there's another event going on from 5 to 9. Sorry about that. And then lastly we have. If you have any other ideas, if you have more comments that you would like to make, go onto the website, thesilverspringplacemaking.com, and you can put your comments on that website, and we can start filtering that and making sure that we put that as part of the kind of the report out of this entire event. So with that, I want to thank again Councilmember Reamer and Crystal for helping us in really organizing this. For this event tonight, and just thank you for everyone for showing up tonight. This was I know it was a nasty evening to come out, but we do appreciate it. It was great, fun event. So thank you very much.